Our speaker this morning is Maggie Kondrath. Maggie is a 3-year student from Downingtown, PA. She is a member of the varsity field hockey team and the V2 puck team. She's the proud roommate of Amelia Mendoza. Maggie?
There are moments in life that truly shape our character. Whether it's winning a state championship, shout out Hill Field Hockey, losing a loved one, or even going on an amazing trip, these specific moments are different for every single individual. For me, my defining character, life-changing moment was not about something that I did, but instead about something that I didn't do. The concept of listening is simple. When someone talks, you listen. Seems easy, right? Well, this simple concept of listening is often always forgotten and difficult to put into practice with all of the distractions within our lives. When we don't fully listen to someone, we miss out on the things they say, the reason they are telling us, and the feelings and emotions they are undergoing. In elementary school, children are taught the golden rules, that if they see something, say something. We are taught to stand up to bullies. We are taught to offer a helping hand if someone is in need. These rules are easy to follow in elementary school. Life isn't complicated and there's little to no drama. In middle school, however, things change. Life becomes more complicated. It's a time when you are just starting to think on your own. I considered myself a very prominent follower of these golden rules. I was the kid who would never let someone sit alone at lunch. I always checked in with my friends and even teachers just to see how they were doing. And most importantly, I always listened. I understood the importance of someone feeling heard. In fact, I felt pretty good about myself. I was doing everything right, or so I thought. So, how come when a member of my own family was struggling, I did not listen? I did not truly care. I went through the motions of listening to the person, but not really hearing what they were saying. And that will forever be the greatest regret, but also the most valuable lesson of my life. I remember the day so vividly. I was a 6th grader playing at recess with my friends. This day was like no other. I was a sporty kid, playing soccer with a big group of girls. Until from the corner of my eye, I saw Libby, my sister, who was 14 at the time, sitting all alone at a table. I walked over and asked, "What's wrong, Libby? You look so sad." She replied, "Maggie, I just don't feel like I belong. I feel so out of place." I stood there, unsure of what to say. I could tell she was really struggling, but I knew that it would take a lot of time and a lot of effort to engage and truly understand what she was dealing with. I would have to ask questions and provide feedback and input, and honestly, it felt way too overwhelming. So instead of playing my usual role of the supportive person who listens intently, I simply said, "I'm sorry, Libby. I hope you feel better." And it's not like this was the only time this happened. For the rest of the year, I watched someone I love suffer and only gave superficial support. For Libby's part, I believe she sensed me pulling away from her. She really did look sad on most occasions. She was being bullied, and it was hard to watch someone I cared so deeply about be tormented. I did all of this watching because I was the one who was scared. I didn't know how to help her or what to say to make the situation any better. I stood in the shadows of this bullying for years, when I could have asserted myself into the situation even by just listening. I noticed that gradually, Libby and I no longer spent any time together. The things we used to love doing after school, like playing Minecraft, watching The Office, or biking over to my grandparents' house, were non-existent. Everything about our relationship seemed awkward and forced. When I rarely got the chance to speak to Libby after school about how she was feeling, it would always be the exact same answer: "I'm fine." And it's not like I did anything to dig deeper into the conversation. We were no longer close, and it felt as if we did not even know who each other were anymore. As Libby entered high school, I started to understand that her life was getting more complicated. Amongst my family and I, we assumed Libby identified differently. She would talk to me about how she had suspicions she may be gay, but I was afraid to ask any more questions. I did not know what to say or how to support her, so "it will be okay" became my go-to response to our only now brief conversations. Libby became silent. She didn't feel comfortable talking to me about her identity anymore. My inability to listen closed the door to our relationship. Because I was emotionally unavailable, Libby sought relationships and connections elsewhere. She could be her true self with others, but not with me. I had shut her out. Long talks in my room with Libby soon only became surface-level interactions after school. We were completely strangers. I became hopeless. I assumed our relationship was tarnished forever, and there was really nothing I could do. It was not until Libby shared another personal realization with me that I felt I had a second chance. A chance to reestablish our relationship, a chance to get my sibling back, and a chance to grow as an individual. In Libby's junior year of high school, she felt comfortable enough to come out as transgender. He wanted to be referred to as Joe. I was so proud of Joe for having the courage to make such a big step in his life and really become his true and genuine identity. However, I wondered how Joe could be so brave, and yet I was still such a coward. I never even took the time to sit and talk with Joe to understand his perspective. If I had only taken more time to listen to Joe, perhaps some of the pain he endured throughout the years could have been alleviated. I was ashamed. I thought I was a great listener, but it turns out I still had a long way to go. In retrospect, I now understand why I did not want to listen to Joe. Although I am a really good listener when the topic is superficial or when the discussion is with someone I don't know too well, it was different with Joe. The topic I knew in my heart he wanted to discuss was very heavy and extremely personal. I did not think that I was equipped to deal with it and really listen to what Joe had to say. So instead, I did nothing. Lucky for Joe, he is in a good place. He is in college and has a solid group of friends who accept him for exactly who he is. And Joe and I are okay now too. We are working to reestablish our relationship, and I really want to be there for him moving forward. I have learned that most of the time, people just want someone to sit and listen to them. There is nothing that I needed to do for Joe other than to sit and to listen. Even if I was scared or uncomfortable, I should have done that. If only my sixth grade self had taken 5 more minutes to listen to Joe that day at recess, things might have been different. But that is in the past and I can't go back. All I can do is move forward and try to be a real listener. The American psychiatrist, Dr. Carl Menninger said, "Listening is a magnetic and strange thing, a creative force. The friends who listen to us are the ones we move towards. When we are listened to, it creates us, makes us unfold and expand." I think of this quote often as I continue to rebuild my relationship with Joe. As such, I have 3 key lessons that I want to leave you with today. First, even if you think you are not equipped to have a conversation, do it. Try it. Sit down and hear what the person has to say. Listen intently. Sometimes that is all the person really needs, to be heard. Only when Joe and I sat down and had the first real conversation, we were able to begin to move forward. From this, my relationship with Joe has improved and we have moved closer towards each other. Second, do not just go through the motions. Genuinely reach out to people to connect with them. You do not always need a specific reason or topic to discuss. Just do it. Now, I have found that when I truly listened to Joe, I was genuinely surprised of how it lifted my spirits, and I believe Joe's as well. The tension that was between us lessened. We were united in a common goal to better understand each other. I truly believe that listening, as Dr. Menninger said, is a magnetic force that pulls people closer together. And finally, third, always listen more than you talk. This is the hardest lesson for me and for most of us in this room to understand. With Joe, I try not to simply wait for my opportunity to talk. I know that I need to take the time and sit with the information he is providing. When I do this, our conversations are more authentic. He is more open with me when he feels heard. And by being heard, I believe that Joe and I are moving forward in a positive direction. Through listening, our relationship now has a foundation of mutual respect. And although I know there will be bumps in the road, genuinely listening to each other will pull us closer and allow us to face the world united together as brother and sister. Thank you.